Hi guys, it's Hannah. I wanted to do some book reviews. I was packaging up a book because I sold something on Pango Books, and I realized I finished a lot of books recently that are from giveaways and or advanced reader copies, so I wanted to go through these really quick. I don't resell advanced reader copies, but anything that I get in a giveaway that I don't feel the desire to keep, that's just like a regular copy, I'm cool with selling and or passing on to someone else, whatever that looks like. So one of these I'll resell. The rest of them I think are all advanced reader copies, so I will put them in my little office library to kind of share with my coworkers, or I'll just keep them here because I don't feel like you should resell or sell an advanced reader copy considering it's not the final version of the book. That's just me. First up, Just This Once by Lena Hendricks. I'm pretty sure that this series, the King series, was originally published like indie published or self-published, and now the author has been picked up by Kensington Books, so they are being re-released as like deluxe limited edition paperbacks. Yeah, so the cover will look similar to this. It's not purple, but there's a picture in here. It's like more of sunset colors, but these are like small town romances. This one has firefighters, but considering it's 400 pages, I read it in an afternoon, so that's pretty quick read in my opinion. This one's really good. I don't necessarily think you should go out and buy all of the deluxe versions, but they are being released if you like pretty books or book trophies. These are pretty and are coming out one by one, so this one's already out. To Slip the Bonds of Earth by Amanda Flower. This one's a historical fiction. It is essentially about the Wright brothers, Wilbur and Orville's sister, Catherine. This is essentially a murder mystery, but Catherine is the main character. A lot of the facts or people that are referenced in the book are real or accurate, but a lot of things also are completely fictional. I don't think that there was a murder that they were involved in solving, but it's very interesting. I liked it a lot. I'm pretty sure there's a second book in this series out that I have suggested that my library pick up. Pretty sure that's the book I suggested. Oh yes, so it's called Not They Who Soar, so that's book 2 in this series, and the main character is again Catherine Wright. So very interesting, kind of a different take on historical fiction in that the main character of this series is not the famous historical person, but a sibling. She is actually, Catherine Wright was a real person, but women in 1903 weren't, you know, the main characters, I guess you could say. So I like that she's the main character in this book. Again, from the King series, we have Just My Luck. This one released on May 26th. So this one, again, the cover's not going to be purple. It's like this blue teal color. This one is like Marriage of Convenience. Again, small town, romance, single mom, boss relationship thing, fake marriage, I guess. But this one's probably my favorite out of the two. I really like this one. Again, it's 400 pages. I read it in an afternoon. It's pretty quick. And the words are like normal type. It's not like large print, and that's why I read it faster. It's regular. If you ever write a review for a book published by Kensington Books, Kensington is the largest traditional publishing house that's still family owned. If you write reviews for any books published by them, anywhere, Amazon, Goodreads, wherever you do your reviewing, they have a Between the Chapters book club, and they give out advanced copies of new books that are coming out every month. So all you have to do is go to their Between the Chapters book club page, and there's a form for you to fill out with your information, the book that you wrote a review for, and a link to the review. And essentially the only criteria is that it's one of their books and that you wrote the review within the last 90 days. If you've already submitted a review for that same book, you can't submit it again. It will only be counted once. But they might select you to win an advanced reader copy of an upcoming release. And I've actually gotten a couple of other books just from them randomly that were not part of those giveaways. So if you're into writing reviews and you read any books published by them, it's a 2-second extra step to fill in your info and maybe get a free book. Even more fun if it's something that's about to be released. They also have like a grand prize, so they'll do like 35 of just the book, and then they'll do like 15 or 10 grand prizes. I don't really remember. Maybe it's 15, so that it's 50 total, and it'll be the book and something else. So like, and a blanket, and a cup, and a hat, and a whatever. Insert random item. So that's a lot of fun, and I think it's fun of them to do, and we like free stuff. Night Watcher by Daphne Woolsoncroft. She is a podcast host, and she hosts a true crime podcast. So this is True Crime Vibes. The main character hosts a radio show that is also, paranormal, spooky, true crime in topic, whatever, you know what I'm saying. So I really enjoyed this. It's twisty, turny, suspensey. I really enjoy true crime in general. When I was going in to write my review, this one was actually published and released last year, so July of last year. I'm just not getting around to it. But when I was posting my review, I saw a lot of negative reviews saying things like, why are we letting podcast hosts write books? And I've read 100 books just like this, like stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, so you can just say you didn't like it or it wasn't for you, but her writing itself, I don't have an issue with, to be completely honest. And even though she goes back and forth between timelines and points of views, I didn't have an issue keeping up with it. I thought it was well done, and I thought I knew the ending, but I didn't. So always a good surprise. Serial killer vibes right there. The One Day You Were My Husband by Rosie Walsh. This one was just released on May 19th, so 2 weeks ago. This one I had a little bit of a harder time with. The timeline changes quite a bit in the beginning between like 3 different timelines for our main character. I had a hard time figuring out what was what in that. By the end, I was very much into it, very interested, but I had a hard time getting into it because it was a little bit confusing as far as what was happening. Like I said, by the end, I was very much into it, but it took me a while to get into it and figure out what was going on. But suspense, thriller, this is what you're looking at. It's not bad, but if you are someone that needs to be hooked from the beginning, this one's not for you. Overall, I liked it though. In Case I Go Missing, Aaron Swan. This one also this one was also just released. Sorry guys, dropped you. This one's young adult, and again, murder mystery kind of a thing. This one's more of like a suspense thriller type of deal. It's considered fast-paced, but my biggest critique is that there are some points that I consider to be fast-paced and other parts of the book that are more of a slow burn. So I don't feel like the blurb should call this fast-paced, because it is not fast-paced throughout the whole thing. And there are certainly points where I definitely thought it was like really building up suspense and was the opposite of fast-paced. So I would just avoid using language like that in writing the blurb. I don't ever read the blurb before I read the book also, but I saw that when I was posting my review, and I was like, wait a second. So that was my big critique of this book. I thought it was very well done, very well put together. It does say ages 12 and up or grades 7 and up. That's pretty good. I would say that's fine. Some children that are maybe at a higher reading level that are younger might be interested in this. Overall, it's easy to follow, and it's like a fair play type of mystery where you're finding out things at the same time as your narrator, and the narrator doesn't know things that the reader doesn't know. So I think that's really good, especially for YA and younger readers, to have that kind of a storyline. So I enjoyed this one quite a lot. Another book that came out last year, so this came out May 27th of 2025, The Famine Orphans. So this is about the Earl Grey scheme where the famine orphans in Ireland, not all of them necessarily were orphans, but young women ages like 14 to 17 were sent to Australia. They essentially signed on to go to Australia, and they were told, you know, hey, we're starving here in Ireland. You're gonna go to Australia, we're gonna pay for you to go, and you are going to be hired out as, you know, ladies' maids and the like. But behind all of that, there was a secret plan for these girls essentially to then marry a lot of the men that had been sent there or chose to go there, that were criminals, and they're serving their sentence by going to Australia. They work for X number of years, serve their sentence, and then they are granted their freedom to stay in Australia. So then you have all of these men and no women to marry them. So this was a way to get young women to Australia, and they were starving to death anyways, to be completely honest. So this is historical fiction, but it was a very real thing that happened. I didn't really know much about this. I think there were 4 ships of orphans. There might have been 5, but at least 4 ships of orphans that went from Ireland to Australia with these young girls, young ladies on them. And some of them were treated better than others. But this does have a singular main character, but you really get to know about the lives of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 of the girls. 6, I think. But it was very interesting. I do recommend this if you like historical fiction. But again, it's one of those things that, you know, some people are gonna really love and some people are kind of gonna hate it. This author also wrote a book called The Titanic Sisters, so I'm wondering if I should check that out too. The author is Patricia Falvey. So I'm thinking about checking out some of her other books and seeing what that's about as well. My mom's very into Titanic stuff, and I just heard about the conspiracy of the Titanic sinking because of a scheme to centralize America's banking. We won't say who is behind that, because that's not what this channel is, nor what this video is about. But last one, Backstabbers, Eliza Jabbour. I don't know. This one releases today because it's Tuesday and today's June 2nd. This one's really good. Again, serial killer vibes. This one, I was pretty into it. Suspense, thriller, serial killers, fighting for your life, the twist at the end, super into it. There were a couple of points where I got distracted and I had to pause, but it was more about I had the TV on and my phone's ringing, and you know, there were distractions while I was reading, not that the book wasn't keeping my attention. But I really liked this one, and I highly recommend it since it's out. Ask your library to get it even, so that you don't have to spend your money, but you can still support the author and your library. It's very well done. There are twists that are kind of obvious and others that are less obvious, but this one, fantastic, highly recommend. There's another book that I have an advanced reader copy of that is also releasing today. I did start it. It's called The Magical Game by Addie Baird, and it's about baseball. So I am reading it, but I'm not really super into baseball. I like baseball to some degree, but I'm not like a super fan or anything. So there are parts of it that are kind of tedious, in my opinion. So it's taking me longer than I anticipated to get through it, but that one's also releasing today. If you're really into history or sports history, or baseball specifically, that one's maybe for you, but I will update you guys when I actually finish it. So that will be the first book I start with next time that we do some quickie book reviews. I know this what didn't end up being very quick, but I did have a whole stack. So I will catch you guys later. I'm gonna go post my one book on Pango. I actually have some other things to post as well. Post those things. I'm gonna drop off my sold book tomorrow at the post office so that it can move on to its next home, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.